Hi y'all, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be just talking about the very few books that I read between November and then the end of December. It's Christmas Day when I'm recording this, so we're not quite over, but I somehow doubt I'm going to finish another book. And if I do, I can include it in my first wrap-up of the new year. I don't have a whole lot. I have like just a handful of books. If you're new to my channel or you don't watch my older videos, I do deal with a lot of seasonal depression, and that actually makes me read less this time of year, so just something to consider. I do typically read way less in the winter time, which I wish because I'm home more that it wasn't the case, but it is. Let's go over the two manga that I read first. So I read The Summer Hikaru Died, the first volume of it. I did like it. I gave it a 4 out of 5. I am going to continue reading this, but I think I'm either going to try to get it at the library if I can, or like maybe get them on Kindle or something. I don't need to buy the physical volumes of this because I don't really want to keep them for my collection. I just want to read them. So I'm going to find a cheaper way to do it. I also read A Sign of Affection, Volume 10, gave it 5 out of 5. This is still one of my favorites of all time, and I did finally binge watch the first season of the anime, and it's great. I literally watched them all in one day. Then getting into some of the books that I read North is the Night by Emily Rath. Now this is out at this point, but I did read this as an ARC, and it was very good. I gave it a 4 out of 5. So I know initially this was marketed as like a sapphic romance. It's based off of Finnish folklore, but I think they removed the sapphic romance aspect from the marketing. So just keep that in mind. It is kind of like very loosely sapphic, but not a whole lot. They're mostly friends from the kind of beginning of it until just the very end. I loved all of the characters. I felt even the characters I was supposed to hate, I did. And I felt they were like, I don't know, the characterization was very strong. I didn't feel like any of the side characters were like really lacking. So there was that. The plot, very, I would say, medium paced throughout. Solid pacing. I don't feel like any of the portions of the book were like a lull, really. It just kind of maintained a steady pace throughout the entire book. And yeah, I did enjoy this one. So yeah, that's pretty much how I felt about it. I don't have a whole lot else to say. I did like it, and I would recommend it. It's definitely like a wintry read, so there's that. There is a second book in the series coming out, and it's like a duology, I believe, so just 2 books. And I don't know that I'm honestly going to bother reading the second book. I might if I get another arc for it, but as much as I liked the first one, I feel like I could just be okay with it just being a standalone. So then I read House of Frank by Kay Sinclair, and I gave it a 3 out of 5. I did really enjoy the romance in this one, but I did feel like the side characters were like way more underdeveloped in this, and we have a pretty big cast of side characters. I know some people didn't like the narration kind of the main character and how like her inner monologue is kind of her talking to her dead sister the entire time, but it didn't really bother me. I didn't really care for Frank or his story, and didn't really have a whole lot of empathy for him, not gonna lie. There's supposed to be a big strong found family thing, and I think it's just kind of like it just misses the mark with actually feeling the connection between the characters, and I don't know. It just fell a little flat for me. So 3 out of 5, it was fine. I did like the magic, like kind of how simple it was. It almost reads like magical realism to some extent. And this like soul arbitorium thing was really interesting to me, but certain things about like the found family and the dynamics between some of the characters and kind of a lack of emotional development between a lot of the found family aspects, where it's just like it wasn't like things necessarily happened to bring them all closer. Some things did, but not enough for it to feel real, like substantial. It's more just like the time they spent together, so if that makes sense. So yeah, it was okay, but it wasn't my favorite thing I've read this year. So then I did Buddy Read A Dawn with the Wolf Night by Elise Kova with my best friend Laura. And I would say at the beginning, I mean, this is kind of like the end of November, I think. So I was just about to start my new job. I was feeling a lot of stress. seasonal depression started kicking up. So I was reading really slow, and I don't know if it was the pacing of the book that was throwing me off or what, but I did give this one a 4 out of 5, so I did quite like it. I think it's one of the better in the Married to Magic series, and I liked all the dynamics with, like, the werewolves and, like, their pack type thing. That was really interesting to me. This one is technically, like, a second chance romance, but they don't remember each other. So I found it really nice. I liked the length of it. The ending, honestly, I felt like skim reading. Because, I don't know, it just... that, like, interlude after the actual ending kind of always gets me where I'm like, I don't really care about this. So there's that. But yeah, overall it was pretty good. I definitely hated all the characters I was supposed to hate, so that's a good sign, because there were some very hateable characters. And then most recently, I read Bull Moon Rising by Ruby Dixon, and I gave it a 3 out of 5. It was okay. I loved the plot in this and the found family, and I found that the plot was actually, like, A, more of a focus in the book than the romance, and B, I think better developed than the romance. The only thing with the romance that I didn't like, so this is like marriage of convenience, kind of hate to love vibes, also a monster romance. So it's okay. I loved the characters, even Hawk. I loved Hawk. I just felt like the build up to, like, the big culmination of their relationship toward the end, if you get my hint, I think that was better and, like, more, I don't know, there was more meat to it than, like, the actual, once the conquest moon happened. I felt like that, like, really was just, like, rushed through, and there really wasn't, it was just like fucking. And I don't know, I just liked all the lead up to it instead of the actual thing. And I feel like if that had happened earlier in the story, and then, like, it was all about, like, their feelings and stuff afterward, would have been nice, and not, like, that kind of being the climax of the book so late in the book, because it was at, like, 80%, maybe later, I think. And it just felt like the plot was, like, really built up to this at the end and then, like, steeply fell. So it just felt really sudden and, like, kind of jarring at the end. And then we get, like, all these, like, little things after all this happens that I just feel like the climax of the book could have been shifted just slightly more toward the middle, and it would have been better. But that's my thoughts on that. I don't know if I stated what I rated it, but I did rate it 3 stars. So did like it. I am going to keep it because I have the pretty special edition, and I like to keep all my Ruby Dixon books, so, because she is one of my favorite authors. So yeah, those are the books that I read in November and December, and I'm in the middle of 3 currently. I'm reading a duet with the Siren Duke. Now, I was reading this via dynamic audio from the library, but I didn't get through it fast enough. I'm like 25%, and I had to return it and put it back on hold because other people are waiting for it. So I don't know if I'm going to continue reading this, like, on, it's on KU, so I might read it on KU and just finish it that way, or if I'm going to wait and kind of come back to it. I don't know. But I'm also reading Quicksilver, and I'm just barely into that. I think I'm only 10% of the way in, and it's okay so far. We'll see. I don't know if I really like the writing style a whole lot, but I'm going to withhold my judgment too much. Yeah, and then I'm also reading King of Wrath by Anna Huang, and I'm loving it. I really love her romances. They're one of my favorite. She's one of my favorite authors. Does a lot of good, like, hate to love billionaire romances. Like, I love the Twisted series a lot. This is the first book in this series, and so far, so good. I'm like 150 pages in, and I'm definitely going to sit down and read some of it today because I didn't yesterday, even though I wanted to. So anyways, thank you guys for watching. As always, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Consider subscribing if you'd like to see more from me. I upload every Saturday at 10 a.m. as of right now. And as always, thank you for watching, and I hope you have a good day. Bye.